Mickey Talks.
Hello, everyone. It is Mickey Talks, episode 45. Matt, how are you?
Here we are.
Going to get right into it today because I want to have this discussion, a long one.
Absolutely. Great guest today.
Yeah, really excited. But Mickey Talks, episode 45, brought to you by Barnes Paving. That's barnespaving.com, B-A-R-N-E-S, paving.com, or give them a call at 443-243-3710. Barnes Paving is MHIC licensed and insured, accredited with the Better Business Bureau. And if you call them, make sure you mention Mickey Talks, and you get 10% off the entire job. Not a bad deal. Today, Matt, are you ready?
I'm ready, man. I'm excited.
It might take both of us to handle this guy.
Certainly, dude. Neither one of us, all of our strength together.
By the way, the reason I wanted to have him on, there's that big thing going on, like, can 100 men beat up a silverback gorilla?
Right.
I don't think 100 me's, 100 versions of me could beat up this guy. But he also happens to be one of the coolest, nicest guys I know. Shogun Fights, Mr. John Rallo. How you doing, buddy?
What's up, brother?
Good to see you, man. Every time I get to talk to you, whether it's been on the radio years past or just in public, I always think about the fact that the first time I saw you, you were the most intimidating 19-year-old dude I ever met in my life.
Yeah, people didn't know I was a teenager when I was bouncing at the bars.
So I want to start there. Well, first of all, let's back up. You were born in Baltimore.
Yep.
Raised there. Where'd you go to high school?
Went to McDonough.
You went to McDonough. You were a phenomenal athlete. I mean, you
did pretty good.
Yeah, you were phenomenal. From there, you took a road less traveled for most and decided that you were going to become a world-class, I guess warrior is the right name, UFC fighter.
Yep.
And your first sort of encounter, I would imagine, or early on, you got hooked up with one of the greatest dynasty families in the Brazilian jiu-jitsu world, the Gracie family.
Yeah. I'm a black belt under.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, they call it Gracie Jiu-Jitsu or Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
It's
They're basically the same thing.
Wow. Who was the original guy?
The first guy,
Yeah.
Carlos Gracie, and really it was two. It was Carlos and Helio Gracie.
Mm-hmm.
What happened was, when Count Coma came over from Japan, the Gracies kind of took him in and helped him when he migrated to Brazil. So to thank them, he taught their children jiu-jitsu, really Japanese jiu-jitsu. But back in the day, it was very involved in grappling, but it was throw oriented as well. So the Gracies basically took that art and modified it and refined it. It's definitely a lot more ground focused, but it is something they develop for a smaller person to actually be able to beat a bigger person, as long as that bigger person don't know what you know.
Well, that's what I'm getting ready to ask you, John, because let's back up. So you're 18 years old, your first doorman job. Where was that?
I was like 17, actually, at the Surf Club was the first place I worked. Hollandtown.
Yeah. So for those of you not familiar, these bars we're going to talk about in the next couple minutes were that's where all the tough guys hung out.
Pretty much.
Until they met you. I got to ask this question before we start. And I might be the only guy small enough to get away with this question. Have you ever had your ass kicked?
I lost my first amateur fight because I was exhausted.
I'm not talking about in the ring.
We can get to that, but no, on the street, no, knock on wood.
Never lost a fight.
I jinx myself now. But pretty much, it always went my way. But I wasn't a guy who was out
that's what I'm getting ready
fighting
to say.
all the time. Like I fought there because that's what the job was, and a lot, they deserve it. Christ,
of course.
You were in them clubs.
Yeah.
But I don't get in fights just out on my own and shit like that.
That's
you know what I mean?
The thing I don't think, when really, really tough, we talked about this the other day.
Yeah.
Guys that are really badasses, the guys
Yeah, they're avoiding fights.
Why would he ever want to fight?
Yeah.
Why would you ever want to?
John, was Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu your first martial art?
Yeah. But I mean, technically no, because I wrestled in high school, so wrestling is a martial art.
So that complemented what you were doing, I'm sure.
Yeah, it definitely helped. I mean, because if you can't take a guy down, you can't really use your jiu-jitsu. And also, it's a grappling art, you know what I mean? So the body awareness, the body control, leverage, things like that. It helped with it's why I kind of excelled quickly in the BJJ world.
Did you discover it through the UFC? Is that where you got turned on to?
Yes, yeah,
BJJ?
100%. Hoist. Like,
yeah.
I think anybody from my generation that watches the UFC or started doing it, Hoist is really the guy.
I remember him.
You know?
I remember seeing. I don't remember the other fighter, but it was a guy that looked like you. I mean, just a massive man.
Dan Severn, I think.
Yeah,
that's when I was searching for it. Like, he won the first few, which I always thought, and then I'm like, we'll see, when a wrestler gets a hold of him.
Right.
And Dan Severn was an Olympic alternate, 265-pound guy.
Yeah.
And Hoist eventually triangled him and submitted him.
That was the most amazing thing I've ever seen.
And nobody knew what was going on.
Yeah,
so,
right.
When I saw that, I'm like, look, Severn's a better wrestler than I ever was. So I need to know what this little dude knows, because I'm not having this little guy twist me up, Yeah. And that was it. So you start searching for it. And, it was a lot of bullshit back then. And, but then I literally got into a tournament. The first one they had was up at Essex Community College. And
what year was that?
Like 98, probably.
Okay. That was early on.
Yeah.
And what age are you at that time in 98? Mid-20s?
When I got into it, when I really started, I was like 29.
Really?
Yeah. I figured I was born in 68.
Right. So we're the exact same age. Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm 56.
Yeah.
But
so when you first got in that, and then let's take it to where you finally somehow meet a Gracie, and how did they say to you, come train with us, or you say, can I train with you? How did that?
What happened was, like, the first Gracie I was under was a guy named Hickson Gracie, who most people consider the best ever. And my instructor was a Hickson rep.
Okay.
So that tournament at Essex, I won the tournament. And
your first tournament?
Yeah, my first tournament. And a gi, too. I never had a gi on before. But I just went and out wrestled everybody, and then guerrillaed my way out of submissions.
Yeah.
And the referee was a Hickson rep.
Wow.
And we're looking for some place to train because of the UFC on TV.
Yeah.
And Mark asked me after a tournament, there's a guy named Mark Finley. He goes, where do you train? And I said, I don't. And he goes, are you serious? And I go, yeah. He goes, you want to? And I go, yeah, we're looking. And he said, well, I'm a Hickson Gracie rep. He was actually at a Baltimore Boxing Club back then. Yep. He would put mats down in the middle of that dirt ass floor. That place was hardcore. I was still a great gym.
Yeah.
But we were in there. I went down.
Did you meet Hickson there?
No, he was coming to Atlantic City.
Yeah.
So Mark asked me probably a couple days in, do you want to fight? And I said, well, yeah, that's what I'm trying to learn this stuff for. I figure maybe I could do that. So he goes, well, Hickson's coming. In order to represent him, you have to get his permission. He goes, so I want you to go up to the seminar. He said, you don't have to go to both days, but I want you to go, because at the end he'll wrestle with everybody, and
see,
this way he can wrestle with you.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah. So I got to wrestle with him. And you can look online. Hickson when he used to do seminars, literally there could be a line of 100 people, and he'd tap every boop, 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 one after another.
That's crazy.
Like, no matter, he didn't care who it was.
Yeah, it didn't matter. Whoever showed up that day was probably getting it.
If you guys ever want to, I'm sure you've seen it, John, but if you ever want to see a cool documentary, search the Hickson Gracie. What's it called?
Choke.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now,
so basically I got in with him. And because after we rolled, he gave me his permission. And then I was in another tournament, and I beat few of Henzo's guys. So after that tournament,
with how much jiu-jitsu
I was
at this point?
Maybe about 6 months.
Wow.
And his guys, in that tournament, I beat a couple purple belts, which you've been training.
No kidding.
Probably 5 years, 3 to 5 years at least.
So that's your wrestling background.
Yeah, yeah. And and I'm a gorilla.
Yeah.
It helps.
That's the other thing. When you're one of the 7 biggest men on the planet, how much does raw strength in that situation really help you?
I mean, if you have a little knowledge, it's going to help.
Yeah.
If you don't have knowledge, it's not going to help for long.
Right.
If I don't know anything, and I grab Hoist and I slam his ass on the ground, maybe I win.
Right.
But if we go to the ground,
you're done.
He's getting me, because I don't know what I'm doing.
Right.
And I'm also going to gas out. You know what I mean?
Sure.
You're probably not in shape. You figure like, dude, an average bar fight's over in like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Against
just
you,
winded.
it's 15 seconds.
You
but
know,
yeah.
it's over quick.
Yeah.
So, you know, these type of things go on for 10 minutes, you know, it could be 5
Right.
minutes, 10 minutes.
Sure.
Like if you're doing like the UFC at this point is 3 5s or 5 5s. Like
Yeah.
my first amateur fight was a 10-minute straight.
That's
and then
a long time.
5-minute overtime. So, you know, so you had to be in shape. So that definitely helps.
Let's go back. So you're a doorman. You're 17, 18. These thugs around town, all these badasses. You obviously made a name for yourself. People knew not to mess with you, things like that. You become a bodyguard for famous people. Tommy Lee from Motley Crue. How long did you work for Tommy?
Worked with Tommy for a couple years.
What was that? Okay.
What year was that?
Yeah,
first
what
of all?
year?
I want to say it was like in 06, 07 time frame.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. And was he sober at that time?
Some days.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I
Like
wanna-
Tommy was like people have, I shouldn't say a misconception because like when they were younger, obviously
He was
they
the
were
lunatic.
savages.
Yeah, right.
But, and look, he still got it in some,
Yeah.
but he definitely ain't like how people think, you know, and he's sharp. Like,
Yeah, he's a smart guy.
he gets, hey, everybody do a shot because he had a Jaeger machine
Yeah.
in his dressing room. But after that shot, he might be carrying the same beer around with him while everybody else is getting it in, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, and look, he's a real he's like working for a big kid because
Right.
he was pretty much, yo, dude, rad, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And he's, I mean, he's just super nice. Like he was cool.
Did he ever get an attitude with you?
So I'm saying, I mean, but the reality of it is, no, he never did.
Right.
And I never really saw him get an attitude with anyone.
That's amazing.
Except for one time. And it was like he was pissed at the assistant because we went into Buffalo. And I don't know why, but for some reason they hired an extra dude and it was an off-duty cop.
Right.
They wanted somebody armed or whatever.
Yeah.
So that guy, usually after Tommy was done doing what he was doing, we never hung at the club.
Sure.
He's in and out. And but this night he hung out for some reason.
Sure.
So,
Tommy, you mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm like basically was posted up by the door, making sure who's coming in and out. And the other dude was supposed to be watching him, but was chasing ass.
Ah.
And like Tommy obviously noticed, you know what I'm saying? And,
Yeah.
you know, so when we got back, I remember, man, he went up Tony's ass for
Letting that
like,
happen.
can I say
Anything
the F?
you want.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, who the fuck is that guy? You
Yeah.
know what I mean? This motherfucker's chasing pussy. He's supposed to be watching me. What the fuck are
Yeah.
you paying him for?
Wow.
You know, fire that motherfucker. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so, and that's the only time ever I saw him.
Wow,
pissed.
that's really cool to know because if those guys are going to be jackasses, it's going to be in private.
Yeah, they always say don't meet your heroes,
Yeah.
you know, because you
Yeah.
would be disappointed.
Were you a fan at the time?
Honestly, yeah, dude, you know, we grew up on Motley.
Yeah, it's
Right.
Motley Crue.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
was a fan of Methods of Mayhem, his other band,
Mhm.
Right.
and like the first, you know, it was a rap rock,
Yeah.
you know, kind of even EDM. Like he loves EDM music.
Yeah.
and, you
He's
know,
a
that
drummer.
kind-
Loves the
yeah,
rhythm. you
yeah.
know?
Big.
Yeah.
I mean, he loves that more than probably drumming.
Oh,
Like,
I know
no,
he does.
No joke.
Yeah.
Like on tour, we would play a gig and then go
DJ for
at a
3
club
hours.
after.
Yeah, that was wild.
You
man.
know, so so he you know, he was all about that.
So how did you make that initial connection? Like, how do you go from being a bar guy to Tommy Lee's bodyguard?
My buddy, a guy named Rich Pollock, he's a you know, good friend of mine, and he owns a company called Assured Protection. Give him a shout out. Like he does like buildings and all this kind of. He's into big shit now,
Right, yeah.
You know, he's kind of almost moved away from the tours because they're, you know, it's cool, but it's a hassle.
Yeah.
But Rich had been asking if I was interested. Like he knew me through my friend Bubby Hollingsworth. He said, you know, like I know you're I have a brain, but I look the part too, you know.
Yeah,
like,
of course.
like you have to, like I really believe you have to have a presence. Like there's a lot of people in that industry that ain't worth a shit,
right.
but
Yeah.
they're like 6'5" and 320.
Yeah.
So
makes a huge
it
difference.
makes
So
you
they're
think,
intimidating.
should I take that?
Yeah,
Right.
right.
Yeah.
But you know, but anyway, Rich was trying to get me to work for him a little bit, and they had something they wanted me to do with Tommy, and the money wasn't right, so I just didn't do it. And then they came at me with like almost like a mini tour when he was doing Supernova. and
Right.
stuff.
Yeah.
So basically for the New Year's like weekend, because they were playing out at Hard Rock.
Yeah.
We we went out there to work, and I'm thinking in my head, well, it's only for a few weeks.
Yeah.
See what's up.
Make a little
see
buck,
if I
see
like
some
it or
pretty
not.
girls. Yeah.
So I go and have a blast, and all went well. He liked me.
Yeah.
The other guys in the band, they were like, we want this guy on tour with us, but they were like, go, Tommy's kind of be the last. He's got the biggest vote.
Yeah.
So Rich told me, like, because I was working with two of the other guys, he was working with Tommy and the singer, and he goes, look, Johnny and Gilby, everybody likes you, so go work for Tommy the last couple days. So I worked with Tommy.
Yeah.
And we was rapping, music and stuff like that. And I guess he liked how I rolled. So we got that tour, and then I did that tour with them, which it wasn't a long one.
Yeah. So
now I could see, do I really vibe with a tour?
Right.
And like halfway through the tour, Tommy wanted me to be his guy instead of, like, Rich was with him at the time. And I told Tommy no.
Right.
I'm like, fuck no. Like,
right.
I'm not doing this. Is my friend,
right.
and he's the one that put me on. Like, oh, you like me better? You know
right.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not, I can't do that.
Right. Of course.
And Tommy was like, he goes, oh yeah, all right. He's, I respect that. And, so what he did do was he started taking me on the DJ gigs during that time.
Right.
And then, like, once the tour was over, because I was doing stuff with him still anyway, like, I'm telling you, I got home, like, literally pulled up in front of my house from the airport, and my phone rings, and it's like, hey, Tommy wants to know if you can do some personal stuff with him. And I was like, yeah, when? And they're like, you got to leave tomorrow. It was like, so, but whatever, it gets me in. Out. So boom, we went and did it, and he liked me, and
what was your typical day like with him? Like, what do you
wake up at 5 in the afternoon?
It varies, it just depends on what's going on. Is it a travel day? Is it a off day? Is it,
well, when you're on the job, when you're protecting Tommy Lee, what is that day like for you?
Like, if the off days are worse because
he's free to do whatever he wants. Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In the clubs and shit, it's fairly easy.
Yeah, backstage or on stage.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you have a way in, a way out. You have security in the venues. Like, when the band walks, the halls are clear. You're not even allowed to be in them.
Right.
Like, we shut it all down basically, so they can go and do what they have to do. Like, throughout the day, I mean, you're going to get up, hit the gym or whatever you're going to do. But usually they got to get over there for a sound check, and nobody's allowed to be in there for a sound check really either. So, you're kind of hanging doing that. There's always lunch and catering or whatever. Then once the sound check's over, they'll go back and chill.
Now, how far are you, say, when he's doing a sound check? Are you just right there behind his kid? Or are you side of the stage?
There, walking around, like whatever.
You're just keeping an eye on him. Yeah. Because there's no other assholes around at that point, right?
That's it.
So let's say it's an off night, and I don't know, he's with a girl, and he's going to go to dinner at a restaurant in town. Do you go with them? Do you sit at the same table?
Yeah.
Really?
Some guys, like, want you to stand up and do whatever.
Yeah.
He's just.
You sit with us, have fun.
Yeah.
And how often are there problems that you have to solve?
I mean, like, knock on wood again.
Yeah.
Like, I really didn't have to whoop anybody's ass.
Yeah.
Like, I might have leaned on a few people, snatched a couple people up.
Yeah.
But no, I snatched Danny Bonaducci up.
Did you really?
Actually, it was Steve-O, really. But I forgot. Bonaducci was there.
You snatched up Steve-O?
Yeah. He was at the show. Which and Rogan was at that show too.
No kidding.
Yeah, because it was in Long Beach.
Does Joe have bodyguards now?
Oh yeah,
he would have to
full
right?
time.
Yeah,
and they're all.
He's a bad dude too, right?
Yeah, they're all like special ops dudes.
Really?
They're all cool. I know most of the guys.
Yeah,
they're pretty cool.
It's funny, John. You trained with Henzo up in New York, and that's where John Donaher.
Oh yeah,
did you train with him?
Yeah, we all came up together. John's hilarious. Yeah,
really?
We used to call John the Dark Lord.
That's funny.
Yeah, John had hair before,
So you guys were like white belts, blue belts together?
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow.
He might have been a purple when I was a blue when I showed up.
Yeah.
Because Henzo gave me my blue the first day because he had already seen me compete and stuff like that.
And was that your connection to Rogan too? Is that how you and
through
Joe
jiu-jitsu?
met?
Through Henzo, like there was a forum. I don't even know if it's still there, but it was called the Underground. That's like how the UFC stayed alive when McCain was going at him and all.
Yeah.
Like the fighters would be in there, Rogan's in there, regular guys are in there. So, and you would be topics and everybody's talking on topics, which, you know, about different fights and stuff like that. So Joe was coming to town and for a comic, you know, down at the power plant, like whatever was down there.
So probably at that time was either the Improv.
It was the Improv.
Yeah.
It was the Improv. So,
in fact, I was on 98 Rock that morning, and because we talked to McCain, and he came in and he was like all fired up, and we didn't know why. We're like, why do you hate McCain? That son of a bitch is trying to get UFC banned. He's full of shit. It's all off the air, and I'm not talking shit about him, certainly. But I absolutely remember that now.
Joe would say it now, too.
Yeah.
But, so that was kind of how I met, because they were online going, where can we train in Baltimore? And everybody said, go see Rallo.
That was ground control.
Yeah.
And, so, and he had his buddy, if people that are fans of his podcast or the jiu-jitsu world know, a guy named Eddie Bravo.
Yeah.
And, you know, Eddie was with him, and Eddie was doing the Abu Dhabi trials, which I was doing too. And
he's a little guy, Mick.
Yeah. Eddie,
probably your, I don't know how big. He's probably his size.
Yeah, maybe. He's tall. He's probably close.
I'll wrap you up like a
maybe
snake,
5'10" or
he's a giant.
5'9".
Yeah, my God.
He used to compete at like 145, so he was, you know, he wasn't a big dude.
Yeah.
But so they came to town.
Did you throw them both? Did you throw them both around a little bit?
Joe did not come and train with when Eddie came and trained with, like, and then I took Eddie to Jersey up to my friend Ricardo Almeida's too, to, you know, just to get different looks. And then like I met Joe when we went to the show, because he had shows a few, you know, like he used to have the weekend, through Sunday, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not like he's balling now.
Right.
Come see me now.
$100,000, see you later. $500,000, bye.
You know?
Yeah.
But you know, so then that was it. Like we met, you know, everybody hung out, went to his show, had a good time. You know, we all fixed our heads, went to the ESPN zone. Because Pietro, my brother, opened him and his wife were two of the people that opened that spot. They opened all of them, you know, for them as they went. But, you know, so I hit Pietro up. I'm like, yo, I got Rogan and his buddies with us. You know, can you get us a room so we can get something to eat? So we all went, ate, hung out, had a good time. And that was it. Like we just stayed.
Joe trained at your gym?
Eddie did. Joe did not.
Okay.
Joey Diaz has been to the gym, but not Joe Rogan.
Would you have a buffet set?
Yeah. Believe it or not, he trains jiu-jitsu.
Does he really?
Yeah, I was just with Joey. I went up his house yesterday and we had lunch. Man. He's the best.
I would love to meet that guy.
Did you roll? Have you rolled with Joe Rogan though?
Have not.
No.
Have not.
Okay. What do you think would happen in a Joe Rogan roll?
I mean, I'm a lot bigger than Joe, and I'm a black belt too. So I mean, but who knows? I mean, you know, I won't know till you roll with somebody.
You'll give me some trouble though.
You know, but I'm quite sure it wouldn't be easy. You know, look, Joe's a black belt under Eddie. You know, in no gi, but he's also under John Jack, and John Jack's a badass, and you know, he's a great jiu-jitsu guy, and Joe has a black belt under him too. So. You know, and look, he trained Muay Thai under like Rob Kamen. He like under kickboxing under Benny the Jet. Like Joe's he's a beast. People don't know that, you know, you think he's just a comedian or just a podcast.
Oh, I would never say anything disrespectful to Joe Rogan.
And he's dude's in tip top shape. He trains like a savage.
There's a video of him throwing kicks, man.
Yeah, I
watched the sound alone scares me.
Yeah, well, he came from that world. He came from a Taekwondo, you know, background. He was like I want to say he was a national champ, like when he was like 16, 17.
Wow, right.
I think he won it a couple times. And then he got into kickboxing, and then, you know, jiu-jitsu. Eddie, like when he met Eddie, he said, you know, he took him to do jiu-jitsu, and Joe's like, he said, I went there and got my ass whipped. He goes, just messed my whole world up. Like, God damn, you know,
I thought I was a badass,
you know, and thank God I realized that too. I didn't have to have it happen to me, but I just saw Hoist doing it to people, and I was just fascinated too. Like, I want to know this shit, you know, like well, there's pretty wild.
I mean, I would imagine for a guy like you that's got this insane natural strength. Usually, you know, I'm sure there's some guys on the planet stronger than you, but not a lot, and you have that kind of strength. But then when you see the skill and art of it, that's got to get in your head a little.
That's it. Like, dude, some people, like obviously me, I was driving 3 hours up and 3 hours back, 3 times a week to train with the best guys. But I definitely love the art of it. It becomes a lifestyle, honestly.
Yeah.
Like even like, I've always lifted and played sports and stuff, but never was giant on cardio, and not because I was lazy, just because I never didn't think about it.
I didn't tell you this day. I got to tell you a story though that you don't know.
All right.
I don't think I'm going to say who it was, but remember the day we did that celebrity softball game up in Aberdeen? Yeah. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
So we get that.
Dude, I popped my hamstring. It wasn't even softball.
No,
it was kickball.
No. This was the softball tournament.
No, that was in Glen Burnie.
Is that where it was?
I think.
I thought it was at Ironbird Stadium.
I think that was what. Go ahead.
So here's what happens. I get there. Joe Flacco.
Flacco was on. Yeah, I pitched.
So right,
pitched like a shutout.
Yeah,
I struck out Ray Rice's ass.
Yeah,
you heard me, Ray.
But listen to this story. I got to tell you this story. So I'm in there, right? Flacco's there. I'm on the team. All these massive football players. And John walks in, and every football player's kind of looking at him. And I remember Flacco's like, "Who's that guy?" I go, that guy is a guy.
Who are those guys?
Yeah. I'm like, that guy right there will kill everybody in here. And then I said, his name's John Rallo, fighter, blah, blah, blah. He goes, I hope he's an athlete, like joking around, right? And then when you went up to bat, I was next to Joe, and the first pitch they throw to him, like batting practice, he hit it like into the parking lot. And I looked over at Flacco, and he goes like this, he'll do. I never told you that story because I didn't want you to be like, what do you mean, Joe?
Right. Joe, I was impressed that day.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know, that he played baseball. I know his brother was good. He was smooth. Like, fielded well, hit the ball well.
Great athlete.
Like, he was a good athlete.
But when you took that first swing, you know how you see a guy hit a home run and it goes up and goes over the fence?
Yeah.
John hit it. It was about 14 feet off the ground, and it went about 6 miles.
Wow.
That was impressive. John, when you look back on all of it now, the thing, I don't know about you, the thing that I find most impressive about you, forget the physical stuff, that's obvious, how diligent and how hard you worked for the legality of mixed martial arts in Maryland.
Yeah, because I don't know, you brought mixed martial arts to Maryland.
You are the reason it's here.
Yeah, we got the law changed to make it legal.
And I remember, if I had to guess time frame here, I'm maybe 04, 05, 06?
08.
08, okay.
Yeah. First Shogun was in 09, and
I remember
08 is like when the vote went, but then you have to wait till they sign it, and then I think the laws go into effect like October, September.
Yeah, well, I remember the year or two prior, you had come on the show, and you said to me, we're trying to get this law passed so we could do it here. Because UFC was really it was huge, really getting huge at that time. But the due diligence and what you did there, man, I don't know if people really give you the kudos you deserve for that. It was unbelievable.
I appreciate it.
It's incredible.
And a lot of you'd be surprised. Like I have people sometimes just out of random walk up to me and say, "Man, thanks, for what you do. Thanks for getting MMA legalized, all that kind of stuff. And the guys who are in the business too, they all, obviously they all give me good respect.
Yeah,
and they always thank me too. Because kind of, we opened the door for the like a whole new business. As far as jiu-jitsu schools and now Muay Thai schools and the boxing gyms were here already, but wrestling really picked up.
Huge.
Even the girls. How
do you feel about it? Because I know you are a gentleman. That? You are a gentleman at the end of the day. I've seen you with your wife and other women. You treat women with great respect. How do you feel about two women beating the shit out? Does it bother you as a man to watch?
Not in the UFC. No, honestly, no.
Okay.
Like for me, it is what it is. They're just athletes and competitors.
Dude, I wanted my daughter to train. My daughter trained jiu-jitsu, man.
Right. I get
they should.
I'm just talking about
100%. But like what does bother me, and I don't want to rain on anybody's parade. You're grown ass adults, do what you want. But the bare knuckle stuff, like you'd be surprised how unliked it is among like a lot of guys I know.
Well, it's savage.
Just because, like, win or lose, they come out mangled.
Oh my God.
And that's where I really like. You're taking real damage. Real damage. Your faces are getting busted. Your nose is getting busted.
Bones are breaking.
Orbital bones breaking.
Yeah.
So, like for me, if it's really a sports, like look in the UFC, bad shit can happen too. But they try to minimize it.
Yeah.
In bare knuckle, you can't. Like
It seems like
that's
a
what the
spectacle.
gloves like this, but it just goes to prove, like when we were getting it legalized, how we used to say, like the gloves are not to protect the other dude; they're to protect your hands,
Your
so
hands,
you can
right.
hit him as often as possible.
Right.
But you see, as soon as you take them things off, the cuts that happen,
The
the
swelling.
broken hands that
Yeah,
happen.
right.
I mean,
Yeah.
and that's like there's an argument in MMA where, like Rogan says it all the time. He goes, I don't think they should even have gloves on. He goes, because
It's
you
hiding
can't punch
damage.
as often.
Right.
You're going to break your hand. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So
Yeah.
you got to punch proper, and you're not going to punch as often because you will mash your hands. So he said, like, it's in his mind, it's almost safer because of that. But the bare knuckle guys, they tape up
I know.
and
It's
go
insane.
out there. So it just, you're throwing bricks.
Have you seen the slap things?
That's even dumber.
I don't
In my-
get
you know what I
that
mean?
at
Yeah,
all.
What do
like,
you mean, the slap jujitsu?
no,
No,
it's
just
it's
slap-offs.
called
You
yeah,
slap-
Dana.
yeah,
Dana has
yeah,
whatever
I know
it's
exactly.
called,
Yeah.
the slap
Yeah,
stuff.
I
Yeah.
know what you're talking about.
I don't
now.
know. Honestly, I don't know anybody that likes that either.
Would you ever try it?
Hell no. Like I said, my friend's like, "Oh, you should do that," and I go, "Are you fucking kidding me?" I said, "Do I look stupid enough that I'm just going to stand there and let somebody tee off and slap the shit out of me?
Right.
Like, why am I taking that concussion? If you're going to hit me, earn it, motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like, that's my logic on that.
How do you feel about like the slap judo, whatever they call it? Was it combat
I mean,
jujitsu or something?
like, I think
Yeah.
that, I mean, it is what it is. It's not a real fight, but what it is, it does take people who, maybe you just don't want, you're not a guy who wants to fight, but it allows them to test the jujitsu in a striking
With striking,
environment.
yeah.
So it will help them to at least understand what, like, there's like combat, jujitsu, if you want to call it that, and there's sport jujitsu,
Right.
and you like all the techniques can't be used
Sure.
in a fight. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Because you
You're
expose
gonna get
yourself.
punched.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
when you're grappling, you don't have to worry about it.
I'm-
So yeah, there's some things you gotta, pay attention to.
Would you have rather, and this is the only way I know how to ask this, would you, and say you were equally skilled in both, would you have rather have to face the best Brazilian jiu-jitsu guy in the world, or say Muhammad Ali at his top striking performance? Which one would you're in a cage.
Oh, me
Yeah.
fighting either one of them?
Yeah.
And what do I know? What I know now?
I'm knowing what you know now. Who would you pick?
Oh, I'd pick Ali all day.
Really?
Yeah, what the fuck?
Take a bit of ground, man. You'll be done.
Yeah, it'd be hopeless for him. Like he has no idea how to stop a takedown.
Yeah.
Right.
And like I always like the guys that box, like sometimes they like to live in that fantasy world. Like, oh,
They
I
could
would do
catch
this,
you.
I would do
Right.
that. Like you wouldn't do anything. Like if you're first of all, if you're close enough to punch a guy, you're close enough to get taken down.
Right.
And I'm not saying you can't land a lucky one somewhere.
Sure.
But like boxing, and I'm a boxing fan.
Me too. Yeah.
In my opinion, jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai are the two most important
Parts
things.
Of, yeah.
If I had to pick two, if you had to pick one, I'm picking jiu-jitsu because Hoist already showed you in
Yeah.
a style versus style environment, it's the
Yeah.
best. But I like Muay Thai in your stand-up because it involves some clinch work. It involves knees, elbows,
Yeah.
kicks, punches. It's obviously nowhere near as detailed in the hands as boxing, which is why we have boxing at the school too. So
Sure.
I'm not downgrading
There's
it.
a lot of weapons, though, you got.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like you want to be as well-rounded as possible. And yeah, Ali, as great a boxer as he was just a boxer.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm and the jiu-jitsu guy, like, all right, now maybe I keep it on my feet. Now I can box him up.
Right.
But if that guy gets you on the ground, I mean, I obviously can defend myself there, but
Yeah.
like you always want to take a guy where he's his weakest.
Sure.
So the jiu-jitsu guy, you'd want to box him.
Right.
Ali,
Yeah.
take him
but
down.
you have to be able to defend the takedown to box. Like that's what I tell the guys that are strikers. I'm like, well, you at least have to learn how to wrestle
Right.
because you can't box if
Yeah.
you can't wrestle. If you can't defend a takedown, you're not going to be on your feet to
Do you?
throw your hands.
Who do you think's the most complete guy you've seen?
Like Chuck Liddell, everybody knows Chuck.
Yeah.
knocking
Yeah.
everybody out.
Yeah.
He was a Division I wrestler. He wrestled in college.
Yeah.
So hard to take that guy down.
Yeah.
So he preferred to strike, so he kept it where he wanted it.
Now, John, you mentioned that, when you're being a bodyguard for somebody like Tommy Lee, you got to probably be big and intimidating looking, and you want to have some skill, I guess. But isn't there a little bit more involved with with that, are there other skills or things you're trained to do before you are able to look after a guy like Tommy Lee? Or
I mean, I think in my situation, I
like
was
security
fortunate
stuff.
because the guy, I mean, you kind of learn how to work, with them, you know what I mean? As far as like, there could be like certain things, like if we were going out someplace, even if it off day or not, if we're out where he's going to be around fans, we're already, you feel like pictures? Nah, I'm not taking no pictures.
Right.
Whatever. So if I say no and he says yes, he can always override me.
Sure.
But it's my job to be the dick. Not
right.
him,
Yeah, of course.
you know, and I'm trying to be as nice as possible because I represent him.
Yeah.
So I want them to have an overall good experience.
Right.
If I can.
Did you ever have to check a celebrity? Like, hey, back up a second.
Yeah, like not.
You
like,
don't have to name drop it.
Not like a dude. It was actually a chick who was trying to get ignorant, and I made her ass sit. It was the Evanescence singer.
Really?
Yeah.
With Tommy?
Yeah.
She got out of line.
The thing, look, I don't say when you go in. He
right.
does. You
right.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And she was pulling all that. Do you know who I am? Shit.
Right.
Like I don't even at that point. You lost.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like if it mattered that much,
you'd already be in there.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but like a check somebody story, which that's all you really do. You hope is all you have to do. But we were in London. It was download at Donington. So we were going to Donington to the show.
Mm-hmm.
And Tommy was with Kim Stewart.
Yeah.
Rod Stewart.
Yeah.
So, we go back home. We go to the hotel. We were going back to ours, and she's like, "Oh, it's going to be a bunch of, paparazzi or whatever. Go to mine." They were waiting there too.
Right.
Because my friend Casey Willett. You know Casey?
Yeah, of course. I love Casey.
He was like,
the best.
I saw you in People magazine. But
awesome.
so we go in and things shut down there too. Like
yeah.
So the bar in the hotel, her people own like a giant suite there. So when they're in town, that's their spot. So she starts talking to the people in the bar and they let them go in to have a drink. So I'm like, all right. So we walk in and there's a table that had some people sitting at it. And the dude said hi to Kim. She said hi back. And, so go back there. I figure they know each other.
Yeah,
He's in here too. So Tommy and Kim are at the bar and me and Tony just sat off to the side. And then the guy who said hi starts walking over. So I figure again, like,
they know each other. Yeah.
So I really wasn't sweating it. But I knew in 3 seconds when he got over there, I could see like the interaction wasn't like they knew each other. So I just walk over and I'm like, yo, excuse me, sir. I go, they're just trying to have a drink. You mind sitting down? And the guy goes, why don't he fucking tell me that? Like, pointed at
Oh my God.
You know what I mean?
He said that to you?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So literally I just stepped, right to him. And first of all, he's like here on me.
Yeah.
So I stepped to him and I said, that's what he pays me for.
Right.
I said, so sit down before I fucking sit you down. and the guy just like looked and went back and sat down. And like the rest of the tour, his assistant was going, sit down before I fucking sit you down. Like, you know what I mean?
I got to tell you a quick story. I had a similar situation like that. Somebody got in my face one time and I said, sit your little ass down. And my son was 4. He never did that shit again.
Right.
John, those stories though, man. I mean, the funny thing is, like, I know that you have that in you. Like, I was telling Matt this earlier and some other people, like, knowing you is a strange thing because I don't really know another man that I would say, go get him, right? Yet at the same time, you're like the nicest, coolest guy I've ever met.
My friends used to tell me, like my one boy, Richard, he passed, sorry to say, but he used to tell me, he goes, if I was as big as you, I'd wear a fucking tank top everywhere I went. I'd be mushing motherfuckers. I go, that's why God made you that. And you know what I mean? And made me this because I know how to handle it.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
But yeah, I mean, look.
Have you ever been challenged?
Just
you
treat
just laugh?
people how you want to be treated, you know?
Of course, yeah.
Like that's kind of the way I look at it. Like I'm easygoing.
Incredible.
You know, I'm not like I don't need to really be the center of attention.
Right.
you know, like it's cool. I don't mind. Like I'm not going to hide in the corner, but at the same time,
you're
it's not really my thing. I'm just hanging out.
Here's a
I
question for you. So it's got to be tough for you to keep up on your training. I mean,
training,
who challenges you if you're training in jiu-jitsu?
Jamie's was one of my best training partners. My brother Jamie, you know,
really,
Jamie's like 240, and
how'd you like to be dating a black
regularly? Yeah. Jamie's
By the way, how'd you like to have dated a Rallo sister?
You know, so it would have been bad.
Yeah, you're not.
Fortunately, it's all boys.
I know,
all boys.
That's the joke.
They got all boys.
I said I made a joke. Well, I forget who I was talking to about you, and they said, you know, he's got all brothers, no sisters. And I made that joke, and then I said, if he would have had she would have had to have been a nun,
right?
Like, what else is she?
Would have been bad.
Yeah, Jesus,
right? Yeah. So but Jamie's, you know, back in the day, my boy Rocky was one of my good training partners. My buddy Cliff, you know, and then I was going to New York, you know, so I was getting, you know, you're with Sean Alvarez, you know, who was one of the best guys in the world. You know, when I met him, he was number 2 guy in the world, like smashing machine, Mark Kerr.
Yeah.
He lost to Kerr in the finals of the heavyweight division and the finals of the absolute division, like on 2 different years. So
wow,
that was the hump Sean couldn't get over. But you know, Sean was bad. He was like 240. My buddy Jamal Patterson, like, you know,
you got to train with elite guys to get tapped.
Right? Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, that was part of the reason I went to New York, you know,
and
in your training, like I always tell guys, like you could be the best guy in the gym and you can be in shape because you're always winning.
Yeah.
You know, you have to be defensively conditioned as well.
Sure.
Like it's stress. You know, you have some anxiety. Like you have to learn how to relax in those positions, and you have to learn how to get out of a shitty position. Like if you're always the guy winning, how do you know what I mean?
You get caught, you don't know what to do.
Like for me, it was like important. Like Henzo hooked me up with Sean. I was a blue belt, like when we got together, and Sean and I would get together and roll for hours. Like I would meet him in Yonkers, like where he lived, and he lives in Mexico now, but he used to live in Abu Dhabi. He was one of the Sheik's guys. That's where he really got good at jiu-jitsu.
Wow.
And he was one of the first guys in the Abu Dhabi championships, you know? So, like I had seen Sean in a couple magazines and shit.
Yeah.
So when Henzo was like, man, I got to get you with Sean Alvarez. And, you know, so when Sean moved back to New York, man, we hit it off. Like we were joined at the hip.
Was it injuries that kept you from really going further with the competition?
With the UFC?
Yeah,
exactly. Like, well, I was supposed to have a fight up at Boardwalk Hall in Atlantic City. I tore my ACL like a month out, and I had surgery, obviously. And the UFC called like 3 weeks after to do the Ultimate Fighter, the year that Rashad Evans won it. And Binky, we would have been on the same show. But and like I was supposed to be on the show, and Binky was an alternate actually.
Wow.
Binky's and they used to keep the alternates out there, so Binky was out there when they filmed, and Binky's roommate, trivia question, his roommate was Eddie Alvarez. Eddie didn't make it onto the Ultimate Fighter either, and then comes back later. He's a champ. Frankie Edgar did not make it onto the Ultimate Fighter. Winds up being one of the best ever.
That's incredible.
Pretty crazy, but so like it would have been wild if Binky and I would have been on the same one. But
how do you think you would have done? You think you could have won?
I mean, as arrogant as I am, I think I would have won. Like here's the reason I think I would have. The guy who won was just strictly a wrestler.
Yeah.
And he was a light heavyweight.
Right.
You know, like I didn't have awesome hands, but I did train. I trained boxing with Coach Crawford down in Laurel all the time. And, you know, I did train Muay Thai. And I was good. I had good jiu-jitsu, and I did have a wrestling background. So I was
very well-rounded.
Yeah. You know, I don't want to say I'm not as well-rounded as these kids today. Like they really put it together. But for that time, I was a well-rounded guy. Yeah. And on that show, there weren't a lot of well-rounded people. I had already beat like several of the dudes that were there in grappling tournaments. So, you know, I think I would have did pretty well.
Was that the Forrest Griffin year, or am I screwing that up?
I think Forrest was the next time.
The next time.
Yeah, Forrest. I think Forrest was when they had that wasn't Kimbo either. But yeah, Forrest was a little bit after that. And Forrest and Bonner, I believe, were they 185s?
I don't know.
I think it was 80. I think they were both 185 pounders. Year that if I would have been in, it was heavyweights, and it was actually I think 170 pounders. fighters.
Wow.
Like it was Diego Sanchez and Kenny Florian and those guys.
You might have had your way with them boys.
Well, whatever, we wouldn't have messed with them because they're small.
Oh, right. Yeah, gotcha. Yeah.
You're fighting your weight class. They're fighting theirs.
Do you ever, do you miss the competition part?
Yeah. Yes and no. Like I'm super happy with where my life is. You know what I mean? Like, I've been with my wife Angel. We've been together for 15 years.
You ever seen his wife Angel?
And
by the way?
Thanks.
Yeah.
I'm very
no,
happy.
I'm not looking
at
at
home.
it, John. I swear to God.
No. But I mean, it's like when you know John, right? And then you meet his wife and you're like, yeah, I get why he's nice all the time. If I had a lady like that, I'd be nice all the time.
Dude, she's like living with a guy because she drops more F-bombs than I do.
Yeah.
But, so that's cool. We have Ethan. He's 22 now.
Yeah.
He's working down the port. So
does he ever talk back to you, John?
I mean, look, every kid,
Yeah.
I think every kid does,
Yeah.
They're
you might have to
fighters too,
snatch
though,
him
aren't
up
they?
once. Yeah, he trains. He works down to school some too. So like he helps me out down there.
How many locations do you have now? And do you know them? Oh my God, I'm not being funny.
Yeah.
Where are they?
Yeah, right now we have 5. We have the Rosedale location where I'm at.
Yeah.
This is ground control, by the way.
Yeah, we have Owings Mills, one that's on Owings Mills Boulevard. We have one in Hunt Valley. We have one in Columbia.
Yeah.
And we have one in West Palm Beach down in Florida.
No
too.
kidding.
No
I didn't know
kidding.
Florida.
Yeah, Rocky, he's been down there maybe 3 or 4 years now.
That's
and
awesome.
He's actually it might be one in Tampa coming soon. So he's talking about he's got some people that might want to do one in Tampa and one so could be 3 in Florida soon.
Good
hopefully.
for you, John
So
Rallo.
available for franchising. now.
Yeah. Don't say the F word. That gets the federal government involved.
You're available to have partners. Yeah.
There you go.
Do you enjoy the business side of it?
Yeah, definitely.
I've noticed that.
I enjoy the fights too. I think what I enjoy with the business side is for me, I obviously love this stuff, so it's not like a job. You
Right.
know
That's
what
how
I mean?
I feel about
'Cause
comedy stuff.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I love interacting with people. I love bullshitting.
Sure.
I've been an athlete, since I was little, and you're always in that team vibe, the locker room vibe, where you shit on every, so I'm still involved in that. So,
But can you take
when
it when you're in that environment?
oh yeah, of course.
Ball
You kidding
busting?
me? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it would be no fun if I'm just yelling. What'd you say, motherfucker? You know what I mean?
I'd be scared in there. I want to say
that's
something.
you kidding me? That's what you do. You
Right,
know what
yeah,
I mean? You
yeah.
all shit on each other,
Yeah.
but I still have that vibe, and it's cool for me to see kids.
Yeah.
We got this kid Isaiah. I call him Slash because he plays the guitar.
Right.
He's been with us since I don't know, 10, 11 years old.
Wow.
This guy's in the police academy now. You know what I mean? Doing his thing.
That's cool.
I
I was going to say, you got to take great satisfaction in training people up.
100%. Getting to see Rob Sullivan. He coaches wrestling at Eastern. 2 of our girls that were in our program went to Eastern. Rob's really done wonders with their wrestling program. And both of those girls placed in states out there and stuff.
Wow.
So
I
you got another
he's
kid
great.
getting ready to get a scholarship to St. Joe. So it's cool, obviously, when we see that kind of stuff. Even the adults. I had one.
Do you have
I
a grown up guy that's 35, 40? Said,
Yeah, we got guys in there that are in their 50s and 60s.
Good, because I need to do something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I had a
shape,
kid's
man.
parents we saw out. They went to school with Jamie. And,
no
and
kidding.
they were telling us I had no idea what they were saying. The guy, and I'm not mentioning any names.
Sure.
But I guess maybe some depression issues and stuff
Mhm.
like that. And they said that man, that thing, you don't understand what a difference it's made. And I was like, are you kidding me? Because this kid is bright eyed and into it.
If anybody
And-
knows about that bullshit, it's me.
You know what I
brother.
mean?
Yeah.
So I'm
Well, it's
you
great
know,
physical
well,
exercise.
shit, I had it with my mom.
Yeah,
too,
of course.
You know
man.
what I mean?
Yeah, buddy.
It's great physical exercise. You're using your brain
Yeah.
the whole time.
Oh yeah.
It's very cerebral
It's-
in addition
dude,
to
you
physical.
that's why Rogan always
Yeah.
says it, like guys like Mikey Musumeci, he calls them killer nerd,
Right.
Killer nerds.
Yeah.
These guys
He's
are
like a guy that would go to
you
Harvard
know,
if he, wasn't a jujitsu.
yeah. And I always say to guys, I tell them all the time in there too, you need a brain to excel in jiu-jitsu. There's a lot going on. It's a lot of details. Athletic ability,
Yeah.
is going to get you to a certain point. But if you really want to get to that next level, You
Well,
know, it's the technique that'll get you there.
I don't care what sport it is or what competition. There's always 1,000 guys with incredible athleticism, and the GOATs have that, but then they turn their brain on with it, and they go to another level.
Yep.
Any sport, it's the same.
Yep.
The athleticism is there.
And the guy, if you notice, the guys who excel like that, like the Jordans of the world, they're like the hardest workers too.
Cristiano Ronaldo. I mean, they just
when I was coming up, like Walter Payton. And Walter Payton was like, known. They would send athletes so he could break them when he was doing his training and shit.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Jerry Rice, what's he run up like a 2-mile hill?
Yeah.
Like daily.
Yeah.
Snatching bricks, to make his
Believe it
hands
or not,
stronger.
Ed Reed and Ray Lewis.
Yeah, there you go, for the Ravens.
They trained
like savages.
Unbelievable.
A lot of it in the sand, too.
Yep. They did some old school grinding, man.
Yeah.
Do you find that stuff to still be as valuable as the machines and all that shit?
1,000%.
I do too.
Look, at the school, I've had 2 guys specifically that I'm thinking of. I don't know if I want to throw them out there, but neither had much athletic ability at all.
Right.
But they were both tough as hell, and they were the hardest workers in the room.
Yeah.
And they rarely lost because they would,
discipline.
I always say
a
chin and cardio will get you a winning record.
Is that right?
I mean? Because
you can take a punch and keep going.
Because there's a lot of guys that they're going to throw it at you, and then when it,
I think Connor's the prime example.
And then they fold, when it doesn't. Oh shit, he's still here.
Yeah,
right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you start getting tired, and then it starts messing with your head. So when you're a dude who's like Henzo always used to say it, it was great. He told Tito Ortiz this to his face. Tito was talking shit, trying to get a Gracie, get, for a money fight and stuff like that. And then he lost to Frank Shamrock.
Right.
And Tito was saying something to Henzo, and Henzo turned around. He said, "Shut the fuck up." He goes, "Take my name out of your mouth, motherfucker." He goes, "You fucking quit on a guy smaller than you." He goes, "You're real bad when you're the hammer." He goes, "But when it's your turn to be the nail, you turn bitch." And Tito just fucking stood there
and
looking
took
at him. Yeah, what he's going to say? He wasn't wrong. You know what I mean? And Henzo's the type of guy that, like,
it could have happened right then.
Yeah. Like those Brazilians, man, especially, that's a third world country.
I know.
Son.
That's a whole other mindset with
if
those
I
guys,
could tell you the stories this guy tells me, and he's the best at telling the story. I love that guy to death. He's awesome. But
that family
man, he's
really
the best storyteller, I'll tell you.
That family really came from nothing too, right?
I can't say that. They're successful.
Okay.
They were successful over there. I don't want to say all of them, but Hoyce's people had money.
Okay.
Henzo's people, they were already into businesses and politics and stuff like that.
When they first came to California, though, they were trading out the garage, right?
100%.
Yeah.
Horian Gracie, really. Like they, I don't like how business minded he is, where he would sue. That's why they all have drama.
Yeah.
Like they would sue each other.
Yeah, it was crazy
because he was here first, so he thought he should get all the glory.
Yeah, he was the patriarch.
Yeah,
right.
You know what I mean? But but he was really the guy. He was the guy in the garage, and he was the guy, teaching different stars, and like Lethal Weapon, the first one when Gary Busey and Mel Gibson fought. That was like the first film I ever saw jiu-jitsu in. If Mel Gibson triangles Gary Busey to end the fight.
Yeah.
And that came from them?
Yeah. Horian was the choreographer. Yeah.
Wow. Well, Married with Children. What's his name?
Al Bundy's a black belt.
Al Bundy is a black belt. Did you know that?
He's 100% one.
Really?
He's cool as hell. Yeah. He got his from Horian.
Yeah.
That explains something.
He's a legit black belt.
I got to tell you a story. So I meet a comedian one time. I'm not going to say his name, but you guys would probably know his name. Anyway, he was talking about being at a party in Hollywood. And Ed O'Neill was there, and they start talking. And some guy at the party starts mouthing off to some girl. And Ed O'Neill stands up and says to the guy, "Hey, man, show some respect. We're all having fun." And the guy basically is like 10 or 15 years younger than Ed O'Neill. And he says, "Whatever, Al, nobody talking to you." And he walked over and straight up just slapped the guy in the face and said, "Don't ever talk to me like that again in front of somebody." And the guy just looked at him, and then somebody else walked over and said, "Hey, buddy, that ain't Al Bundy, dude. Right. That's a character. Right? Like, this guy will kill you."
Yeah, and he also was in I want to say got drafted.
Yeah, he was
by the Steelers.
By the Steelers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he was in
Really?
camp. He made it. I think
I
he
had
made
no
it to like
idea.
last cuts or something like that.
He tells that story.
Yeah, he does.
And it's
I
a
saw him
great
on Rich
story.
Eisen.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
a great story. John, when all this got legalized and you were the guy, you went to the arena. And then you've moved that now to Maryland Live. And it's, I got to tell you this funny story. You had one there in March.
Yep.
And it was my son's 21st birthday. So he goes, Dad, I want to go to the casino. Right. So I go, hell yeah. I'm not thinking. I don't even know. I drive all the way there. It's packed, right? It's about 10:30, 11. All of a sudden,
Here comes everybody.
everybody's coming out, right? And I'm looking around and I said to my son, I go, I swear to God, I said this. I go, was there an MMA fight tonight or something? He goes, why do you say that? I go,
So everybody's ears.
I go, everybody's pierced, bald, black t-shirts, designer jeans,
Cauliflower ear.
looking like they could kill everybody in here. And then the dealer goes, well, there was an event tonight in the arena, mixed martial arts. And I go, was it Shogun?
Yeah.
And they're like, yes, it was. I'm like, oh my God. So
Should have said something. We would have got your son some tickets.
oh, that I would have just bought them. I didn't even know though. But so is that where it's going to be from now on?
Yeah.
And how many
yeah.
a year are you doing
Just
now?
two.
Two a
Just
year.
two. Yeah, we
Yeah.
used to do 3, sometimes 4.
Right.
But like when Frank had a great relationship with at the arena.
Frank Remish,
Remish,
yeah,
yep,
at
Frank
the arena.
Remish.
Is he still there?
Yeah, man.
We got to get him
They're
on the
crushing.
show.
They're crushing.
He's a great dude.
He'd be a great guy.
I'm going to get him.
He
on
is.
there.
He's Frank's the best.
I love
though.
that guy.
Super nice guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. He told me like he wanted me down there,
Sure.
and I said no. I
Right.
said no a bunch.
Right.
And he was persistent, and like he said after we got to be friends, he goes, you know what, I want to do business with you. I go, when? He goes, you sat on the other side of the desk and I asked you how many people you thought you'd get. And you said, 2,500, 3,000. I said, I think I can do that. I said, and that's a giant regional show.
Yeah.
I said, but this place is too big, so I ain't interested.
Yeah.
So we kept round and round and round. Like he kept coming back to me because when he sent me the numbers, I said, yeah, take that.
Yeah. Good
Stick
luck.
it somewhere
Yeah,
because that
right.
ain't happening.
Right.
And, so it got to the point where he said, once he kind of, I just figured there's an energy that's in those shows.
Oh,
like
my
if
God.
you've been to a UFC
Oh, it's
or
incredible.
whatever. So I wanted to try to recreate that. And I thought that big a place, not
Yeah, you
having a lot
lose
of
it
people,
a little bit in the room.
you but I underestimated because we were probably doing closer to 5,000.
It was
people a
unbelievable.
show.
I hosted
Wow.
the first
Yeah,
2
right.
or 3.
The first one. I think we had like, it was almost 8,000.
It was
people.
Wow.
when I walked through that curtain.
Yeah.
I got there. I came in the back wearing a suit, everything, right?
Yeah.
I walked out and I went, "Holy
Yeah.
shit!"
Yeah,
it
that's
was
an
wild.
arena crowd, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
It really, really went well. The staff down there, I mean, if I talked, it was like Frank was talking, like that's
Yeah.
how well I knew everybody.
Right.
It's like a big family down there, and I'm telling you, most of the people are still down there.
No, I love the arena. Always have.
Yeah, me too.
I
mean,
wish they could
obviously-
pick it up and move it out past the Beltway.
Yeah, that would
But-
be nice.
But it is what it is.
Yeah, but when COVID hit, obviously everything got shut down. And then right after COVID, when they're supposed to reopen, is when like the Oak Group or whatever,
Yeah.
took over and,
Yeah.
and we're gutting it.
Yeah.
Then that rent was getting like tripled. you
Right.
know? So, it helped me because doing it at the arena was super stressful every time because I had to sell so many, it's a lot of overhead.
Of course.
So to be able to do that, you know what I mean? That's not an easy feat.
Right.
And my sponsors are huge in helping me. My friends, a lot of guys, Vinny,
Yeah.
with Life Med and,
Yeah.
I got Mark at NLP, Ron Frank with Lexington National. I
Yeah.
mean, these guys, Keith with Reliable Property Management, Keith Kaiser. Like these guys, Stan Diamond. Like I'm sitting here
By the
plugging
way,
away all
Matt,
these people,
we're
but
gonna-
they're my friends.
We're
too,
going to
you
go
know?
back and listen to this part. And I'm
And go get
calling
'em
every
all,
one of
go
those
get 'em all.
sponsors.
You'd be surprised how many people do that shit.
And-
They come to a
yeah.
show, and if they got like a boxing match or
Right.
something,
I would
they're
never.
trying to call these
Yeah.
guys. But yeah, man. So I loved it down there.
Do you like the casino now?
Yes. Look,
Okay.
again, like Ashley, the girl and who does my ticket stuff,
Yeah.
and she's like the box office manager and all. And Chris First, do you know
Chris First.
Yeah,
Chris from
Rams
Power
Head and
Plant.
Oh,
that
yeah,
Power
of course.
Plant.
Yeah,
Well, Chris
First.
runs shit for them. Like he's
Yeah.
like a national
No kidding.
talent guy. but that's
For
my
Cordish,
that's,
right?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's my main contact is Chris, and
Yeah.
I've known this guy for 30
awesome.
years,
Mhm.
and he's awesome.
How many seats does that have?
The first show, I think we did almost 4,000 people
Wow.
because they opened the entire place up, and I wasn't happy because a lot of people were bitching. Like, look, I love the room that they have,
Yeah.
but then it's offset and it's an exhibition hall
Yeah.
that goes straight back.
Right.
So the people are further and further away
Right.
from what, and look, they do an amazing job. There's screens everywhere
Yeah.
and all this stuff, but people were bitching. So I was like, all right, so we moved like a section of seats out and moved it up, and people still weren't really happy with it. So then and thanks to Chris for working with me, we took another section out. We adjusted up, to make, for some of the seats we're losing. And then they added, I was like, holy shit, how am I going to get rid of these? It was like 48 $250 seats up in my VIP area.
Yeah.
And then another 48. So it was a 100, like 96, $250 seats just showed up. But honestly, every show they're gone, pretty
That's
much.
Incredible, man.
So, so we got the setup right, because I went all the way in the back to where it was, stood up top, and I was like, yeah, there's no bad seats here at this point.
Right.
And, their staff is awesome.
Good,
like
man.
Spats, that runs the production.
Yeah.
Chris again, awesome. So I mean, I'm very fortunate that I have people that I like working with these people. Like, they're cool, I get along great. Like, if you need something done, they're on top of it, and that's exactly how Frank's people were. So I'm real lucky. I have a different deal here, that I have with the casino. It's honestly more favorable, just because they can do things that the arena can't.
Sure.
And, I'm staying there,
Good for you, man.
And the Cordishes, as long as they'll have me, and the Cordishes, the first one, John and his family were there. And I met, they had me come meet him and stuff, took some pictures with them. And when I got up the next morning, it was an email and basically said, hey, man, we loved your show. It was great energy. And, we really look forward to working with you.
Oh, so, that's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, it made me feel real good.
I will tell you this.
Cool,
if I own that casino, I know one thing, at 10:30 or 11, whatever time that thing ended, there, all of us, $400,000 walked in and just started getting thrown on tables.
Sure. That's what it's about. And look, for me, I understand that.
Of course
what I'm
you
saying?
do. Yeah.
So my show is there to get asses in the casino.
Of course.
So we run the show like it's a machine now.
Of course.
And we're usually done by in that 10:30.
I'm telling you,
it went to like 11 this time, which
Yeah.
went a little longer because there was a few more decisions on this one.
Yeah.
But I'm happy when that shit happens, because number one, I'm done, and number two, I want that place to do well.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Because then they're going to want me there.
Benefits you. Yeah,
absolutely.
Was there a savage knockout that night or something?
Oh my God, there's been multiple.
Well, I got to tell you this funniest line. So I'm at the what's that game? That's wheel roulette. And big black guy comes up to the table, right? And bald dude, and he goes, how you doing, man? And I said, I'm not doing that good. He goes, all right, let me get in there. You mind? I said, nope. He puts $50 on black, right? And it spins, it hits. He goes, all right. Then he takes that 100. I swear to God, this is true, and put it on a number. And it hit, and he hit 35 or 3,500. And the next thing out of his mouth, I swear to God, he goes, I knocked that motherfucker out like they did in that fight tonight. And it was funny as shit. And everybody at the table just started laughing. He colored his chips up and walked away.
Wow,
and I was like, damn.
Yeah.
That's how you do it. Get in and get out.
Yeah, man. Are you a gambler? Do you gamble?
Not at all.
Not at all.
You got to figure, I grew up collecting money from people who were not very good at gambling.
Right.
So I learned early on.
How old were you when you're collecting for guys?
Teenager. When I was bouncing, I was doing all that, hustle, doing all that nonsense.
Imagine, dude.
Where about $40, mother?
Well, they would know, or you could get you could get where you would assume the debt. Like, I could say to, there's a guy, a bookie or something that's collecting money, and he'll be like, hey man, I got this asshole owes me $10,000.
Right.
I ain't never kidding.
Give me 3 and it's your debt. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
throw me 2,500 and you can have it.
Yeah.
So, bam, here you go.
If it took you a year to get your money, you made
I wouldn't even,
75.
not even like that. You just go because they know what's going to happen
Right.
if they don't. So I would say, look, dude, you owe me that money now.
Yeah.
So here's what's up. You
give me
you owe
200
10,
a week or whatever. Yeah.
You give me 5 and we'll forget the other 5. And goddamn well, they're like, fuck you. I won't get my ass kicked and I save $5,000. Boom. Now I just made 2,500 for nothing.
Wow.
So that's how you do it.
If I can figure out how to do that
but
by
slow
making
pay,
them laugh.
slow pay is better than no pay.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And like, I'm fine with that. Whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying. It's like people would say to me all the time, hey, like bouncing or working like security, like we're for Tommy, or I got to work with Stallone before. It was awesome. And, like I don't get a fight bonus.
Right.
Yeah,
so
right.
I'm not trying to fight nobody.
Sure.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm really not, and like even my friends, like I've just snatched a dude up at a bar or something one night. And then like he goes to his work the next day, and you met Chris Thalen, remember Chris?
I'm not sure.
He used to hang with Irv Becker all the time.
Oh, Chris. Yeah.
And so this guy worked with him. So he goes in the next day, John Rallo, he's a fucking dick, that motherfucker. And Chris like snatches him up and goes, number one, he goes, he's my friend. He goes, so shut the fuck up.
Right.
He goes, number two, if that guy snatched you up, what did you do?
Right.
And the guy was like, oh yeah, well, I was being a dick,
Yeah.
Yeah,
of course.
So, people know, like I'm not out trying to bully on nobody.
I have never heard the words, I'm a fuck John Rallo up. I've never heard that sentence in my life.
Right.
I've heard
they're not around anymore.
I've heard this. I hope I don't see John Rallo. John, man, it's amazing what you've created for yourself because, you're a superb athlete. You're a smart guy, very smart man. You took something that was nothing and made it into this thing for yourself. I mean, it's just, it is the coolest thing, to see your success with it.
I mean, I appreciate it. And I mean, I'm just thankful, and like you had shit happen where like, hey, I could UFC, do I have regrets? Like,
right.
The only regret you would have is like, what could I have done?
Yeah, could have been.
But on the flip side, like my peers respect me, who all are in that shit.
Absolutely.
I train with them and whatever. So like that, they all know what's up there. So I don't need like that ego stroke.
And you're integral to that world anyway, man.
Yeah. Like, I'm just a OG in this sport, and I enjoy the fact that I've been around basically really since the beginning. And
hands down.
You've been able to see it and I've been involved. And
are you surprised at the level it's reached?
I mean, God bless Dana,
Do you give him all the credit?
Yeah. I mean,
it really is.
I mean, I give Forrest and Stephan Bonner all the credit because that fight that they had.
That is the greatest fight I've ever seen.
That was the fight that saved it. Like the Fertittas were done.
Yeah.
They after the show because they were going to not do it.
Yep.
And then they told Dana, look, fuck it, let's do the show, and if the show don't work, then it's over.
Yeah.
And it worked, and the rest is history. And they wound up selling it for billions and. Now this thing's international.
He still is the CE or COO.
Oh yeah,
right?
He's not going nowhere.
Yeah, that's
that guy's
his thing.
like incredibly passionate, like about it. Like he said, like he thrives like on being out there and doing that.
Was he a tough guy?
He came from a boxing background.
Okay,
he was like a boxing trainer and stuff.
Yeah.
Like how Dana got involved was he was a manager. Dana was like Tito's manager and Chuck Liddell's manager, like way back. When
really?
Yep. And
I never knew that.
Yeah, dude. Like he that's how he found out what was going on. Like he was in there trying to negotiate higher money, and the guy turned around and goes, Dana, there is no fucking money. He goes, I don't even know if we're going to have a show. And Dana's like, look, he goes to
jackpot.
He goes to the Fertittas. Hey,
right.
These guys are struggling if this thing doesn't work right. And the Fertittas, they straight up like gangstered it.
Yeah.
Like they were on the athletic commission. They were trying to get it legalized out there.
There is some.
They voted it down,
right?
And then they stepped off the commission, and then got it, and then took it back, and then and then got it legalized. But they did all the right things. I mean,
it's amazing.
How many of your guys do you see have come from Shogun and gone on to UFC now?
Man, it's I don't want to say hundreds, tens.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like right now. Like a kid, Sadiq Yusuf is in there. Miranda Maverick, I think she's getting ready to fight Rose Namajunas.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
These are these Baltimore kids?
Well, there are some, yeah, like Mansour Abdul Malik. He's a Columbia kid,
Yeah.
like Howard County, but he went to the University of Maryland. He trained with us at Ground Control through high school. He was like a state champ wrestler. He went to College Park and wrestled. And this kid, he's a savage. He fought on Shogun, won 3 or 4 of them. And he's already been in the UFC and won a couple.
So are there people scouting at Shoguns regularly now?
Yeah, I mean, I think what they do is they, like, everybody sees clips and videos.
It's all online now, right?
You can go online
Yeah.
and see what guys' records are and who they're fighting.
Yep.
So, and like, honestly, my buddy Brian Hamper has a management company called Sucker Punch, and they manage hundreds of UFC people. And he manages a bunch, some baseball people, like they're in a whole bunch of stuff.
Wow.
But Brian is in that mix, and when he sees talent too in there, like, first off, obviously they try to sign him or whatever, but he'll go to Sean Shelby or Mick and say, hey, we got this guy. Like my last show, they asked for footage for Max Jimenez, who's like a ground control. He's got a school too called Culture of Jiu-Jitsu. It's a multiple-time world jiu-jitsu champion, and he fights for ground control too. And they asked us for tape on Max for the Contender Series, so maybe Max is going to be getting.
That's
the call
incredible.
soon.
Yeah.
And then there's a dude, Muhammad Ali,
Seriously?
spelled
Yeah.
differently, but
Right.
he's a savage. He fought for me twice already. He fought at heavyweight, and then he fought at 205. And his last fight at 205, I brought in a UFC vet to fight him, who's had like 30 fights, and Ali's like 4-0, and Ali put it on him like
Wow.
Pretty
good.
That's
and
amazing.
like, honest, he impressed me more in this fight, and he had a hard weight cut, and but he looked great. And he, like, his 2 fights, he hasn't even used his jiu-jitsu, and he's another multiple time world jiu-jitsu champ, and this guy looks the part too. He's like, he's jacked.
How many of
it'll be cool. He's going to be there if he ain't already. They should have him fighting soon.
John, I wanted to ask you this because, like, I want to just get weird for a second. Like, I want to talk about Connor for a second and Patty. These guys with these boisterous personalities, these over-the-top characters, to me, I think they're tremendous for the sport.
Oh, yeah.
Do you agree?
Yeah, definitely.
Because I want
look, Connor took the sport to another level.
to
Pay
the
and things.
stratosphere.
Yeah.
And really, he's a big reason why Europe and England are into
Absolutely.
it so much now.
So my question, is there a way for me to train fighters how to talk shit? 'Cause that is one thing I feel
know what I believe?
qualified to do is teach guys how to talk
Like,
smack.
I believe that in that world, you either have it or you don't.
Of course, you're either a
You have
character
that
or you're not.
or not.
Right.
So you could learn to tell somebody to talk shit,
Right.
and if we could take cuts, probably. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah.
These
Yeah.
guys just, it's
Yeah.
off the top.
Yeah.
They're
Some of them
being
are unbelievable.
themselves.
I mean,
like, and look, Connor's made it into almost a giant character. It's even
dude,
worse.
He is the
Yeah,
greatest.
it's way over the top
Yeah.
now. Patty, like, I think Patty in the beginning, I didn't even like Patty.
I didn't
'cause
either in the
think he was
beginning.
worth a shit. Like his
Yeah.
he was average fighting skills, but I can tell you what, like, he just improves and improves. Like he's improving every time. He's earned, like, I'm a fan. Like, he's earned my respect.
I like that guy a lot.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
if you've seen him, like Connor in the beginning when he was funny as shit. Who
Sure.
the fuck is that guy?
Who the fuck
Yeah.
is that guy?
I apologize to absolutely no one. Like, that shit is straight brilliance,
It's
you know?
beyond, man.
And, so, like, I mean, obviously that helped. And I
Yeah.
think what really pushed him over the edge is the Floyd
The
fight.
Mayweather fight.
Because then
yeah.
he was, now I almost felt like he was trying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of just let it happen, because you're plenty asshole enough
Right.
yourself.
Yeah.
And he's witty.
Yeah.
You know, and when you would see
He's
him-
Irish. That's what they're great at.
when you
man.
see him not, like, outside of it, he was always very polite, engaging guy and all that stuff. So, I definitely think he's good for the sport. And
I
look,
do.
you have to win
Yeah.
in order for that to work.
Sure.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why Connor's losing some of his shine too, just because he hasn't won.
You only
But
do that once,
minute.
otherwise.
But I think, like, when I think about a guy like Connor, now I'm not a guy to criticize anybody fighting. I'm not a fighter. But as a fan, the thing I loved about Connor was he didn't turn down anybody.
No.
If somebody called him out,
and he really never
that's what I mean.
got out for being injured or anything.
Yep.
He always showed up.
Yeah, I think he's got heart.
Oh,
I think,
yeah, he's funny. I
love the guy.
He's definitely a character.
Yeah.
Look, he went on Roadhouse, the remake. He played himself.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that was the best thing, man. John, we're going to get about 15 minutes left. You good?
Yeah.
All right. This first thing we do is called Matt's Music Minute, brought to us by Natalie's Seafood Kitchen. You been up there yet in Falston?
Yes, I have. I know Zach. There's another sponsor, Zach and Natalie.
They sponsor us?
Yeah, they do the local and Natalie's Kitchen.
Zach, Natalie, and I don't know if you know Lou up there.
Yeah, Lou Patrice.
Yeah,
Lou's awesome.
Lou
Lou's
and I
great.
have been best friends
I've
for
known
years.
Lou for a little while too.
They sponsor Matt's Music Minute.
Yeah, that's awesome.
They're the live music tonight.
Their food's
tomorrow,
amazing. Dude.
Incredible
So
restaurant.
good, yeah.
Get up there. Here it is with Matt's Music Minute. Thank you, Natalie's Seafood Restaurant.
All right, I don't know if you guys knew this. I must have missed out on the last 40 years of John Stamos joining the Beach Boys on tour. Did you guys
never
know?
knew that?
I never knew that.
Oh
No.
my
I
God!
didn't
Yeah.
know that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the song Kokomo.
Yeah.
I mean, they played that on Full House.
That's
Well,
wild.
I actually remember that. I do remember that. So
And then
the
who
story
else?
mentions that.
I don't know what this story is, but he was very good friends with Michael and Tony Sciutto from Baltimore, who were two of the best musicians
I remember.
this town. And Tasso, great drummer. They all played with him.
Yeah, so he'll be joining the Beach Boys on tour this summer, marking the 40th anniversary of his first performance with the group in 1985.
That's pretty wild.
He's been collaborating with the band for decades, even appearing in the music videos and bringing them on Full House, as you mentioned. And despite the absence of founding member Brian Wilson, Stamos believes the Beach Boys would still be touring due to the power of their songs. And
Huge Beach Boy fan.
Mike Love posted a picture of him on Instagram. And said he was the guest drummer back in the day, but the photo showed him playing guitar.
I think he played. I don't remember Stamos. I don't know, and I'm not like a John Stamos fan club member.
Sure, you're not.
No, you know how I know that? Mitch ended up
Yeah.
knowing him. They became friends, and Mitch told me the backstory of everything. So that's how I found out about.
Mitch became friends with John Stamos. We'll have to get into that.
Yeah, that's
story
all. No, that's for Mitch to tell, not me though. That's Mitch's story.
So Black Sabbath and Ozzy have done farewell tours before, but he's saying this is really the last time. A lot of fans don't believe that. Of course,
Ozzy?
Yeah,
I
for
do.
July 5th.
I think
in
he's
Birmingham.
done.
Ozzy told Classic Rock that fans should believe that the original Sabbath will never be on stage together again. From the late 60s, we're probably one of the only bands where the original members are still alive and speaking to one another.
And how?
Yeah.
I mean, because they were like, Black Sabbath was the
Crazy.
I mean, especially during that time
Woo!
period, you know? Yeah.
I mean, if they were half of the addict Ozzy was,
yeah.
the fact that all of them lived
it's
is just insane.
It is.
I mean, the Stones, the same thing. But listen,
That's true, too.
Do you guys know who was on this show with them?
On the new show?
On their final show on July 5th.
No,
in
who is it?
Birmingham. This is
That's where they're
incredible
from.
lineup.
They're from Birmingham.
Yeah. So in addition to Ozzy and Sabbath, the bill includes Metallica, Guns N' Roses,
Nice.
Tool, Slayer, Pantera, Gojira, Alice in Chains, Hailstorm, Lamb of God, Anthrax, and Mastodon. And I'm not done. Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine.
He's my favorite guitar player.
Yeah, same here. One of the most innovative guitar players, I think. He's the show's musical director, and will also lead an all-star band that will feature Duff McKagan and Slash of GNR, Billy Corgan of the Pumpkins, Fred Durst, Wolfgang from Van Halen, Sammy Hagar, Steven Tyler, Chad Smith of the Chili Peppers, Vernon Reid of Living Colour, David Draymond of Disturbed, Lizzie Hale from Hailstorm, Judas Priest, KK Downing, members of Soundgarden, Ghost, and a whole lot more.
John, can we book a Shogun fight in Birmingham
Yeah, right?
that weekend?
Yeah.
God,
Dude,
damn.
my man is working with Pantera right now, Eric.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Eric Utch. Yeah, he's
I'll
a
bet you-
former kickboxing world champion.
doing security for that.
Yeah, he is.
Okay.
I'll bet you Tommy's going to go to that show, and
Oh,
he
no
might
doubt.
need a bodyguard.
He might have had the reunion tour.
I tell you what,
reunion tour.
that's a tough ticket to get into. So you want a
No
bodyguard
doubt.
that day.
Yeah,
John.
yeah.
You know that's a hard one to get.
Man.
So there's a new documentary in the works, this time for Judas Priest. The Ballad of Judas Priest is co-directed by Tom Morello of Rage Against the Machine and Sam Dunn. It's Morello's directing debut. Dunn is the co-owner of Bangor Films and has a lengthy resume. He did Iron Maiden, Rush, and ZZ Top. They're I don't know if you saw that. Little old band from Texas.
Well, I was going to tell
Really
you,
good.
like, Tom Morello to me, when I became like an unfettered Morello fan, his induction speech, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for Kiss. Did you ever see that?
I don't remember it well.
They chose him.
Definitely saw it
to bring them into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Oh, is that right?
It's the greatest hype I've ever heard. Like, it is the greatest rock and roll speech. Because here's Tom Morello, right? And he's arguably one of the greatest guitar players, technically.
Just most innovative. I would say, you know?
But he can also really shred.
Sure.
Yeah, he can. He definitely can.
So he's a seriously respected musician. Kiss was that band that the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame didn't want to put in. Then they do it, and they bring this incredibly respected musician in, and he geeks out. But he geeks out doing it.
Everybody loved Kiss.
Everybody. Yeah, I went
to their last tour.
Of course. Yeah, man. Kiss is Kiss.
And Morello's a brilliant guy, too. He's a Harvard graduate.
He's a Harvard
graduate. He's so smart.
I'm not all up on his politics, but talent is talent. You know what I mean?
100%.
Stevie Ray Vaughan, too. I love him as a guitar player.
That's my boy's favorite. Yeah, Stevie Ray.
And so this thing is going to be coming out. No release date on it yet, but Judas Priest says we have lived and breathed metal for over 5 decades, and finally, this documentary, we are summoning our congregation to officially witness our lives uncensored in a never before seen way. The cassette comes off revealing Priest in all its metal glory. So
that's amazing.
I'm
looking forward to that.
And that's Matt's music.
They were
awesome.
Crazy
Thank
band.
you, Matt.
They're an awesome band too.
Let's go right into this. That's the facts, Matt. Brought to us by Barnes Paving, BARNES Paving.com. Give them a call, 443-243-3710. Barnes Paving, MHIC licensed and insured and accredited with the BBB. Here it is, folks. That's the facts, Matt. What do we got?
So the Senate just passed the No Tax on Tips Act.
Brilliant.
And this is what it kind of means for people here. President Donald Trump announced a plan to end taxation on tipped income while campaigning during his 2024 election, saying that he got the idea from a server at his Las Vegas hotel. The bill introduced in January would create a federal income tax deduction of up to $25,000 a year for cash tips for eligible employees.
Do you know how big that is?
It's great.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
So, I have people in my life that are servers, and I'm talking about these are women I know in their 40s that have been serving their whole lives.
Yeah.
It's bad enough now that most tips are on credit cards and they have to get taxed on it with their check.
Yeah.
They get screwed, whatever.
This will include all that. This will include cash, credit, debit, and checks.
Yeah. So everything that they won't get taxed on that income.
Yeah.
So you figure, like, I tried to explain this to somebody. If somebody's kind and leaves you 20%, which is nice, on $100, it's $20.
Yep.
So you do at work for them for 45 minutes. You pay your tax. You walked away with $12.
Yeah.
And you got 4 tables, a night, maybe 6. It's tough. But all of a sudden, if you're, adding 35% back into your income, it's a big, big difference.
I'm all for it. Leave people's tips alone.
Yeah. I'm with you.
Yeah,
and I bet you once people
trying to get overtime, and he said Social Security for seniors, he didn't want taxes.
Yeah. Everybody thought he's going to rape us and take all this.
So crazy.
It's nuts. It's great.
So let's see here. You guys want to talk Diddy, or should we we'll talk about Diddy's
Did you ever
trial
meet
tonight?
him in any of your celebrity parties or anything?
I can give you a story. No, I did not meet Diddy. No Diddy.
No Diddy, but a story.
But I have I almost got to see the real shit.
You mean one of them parties?
Yes. Tommy got invited to a white party.
Yeah.
It was in the Hamptons. And so he hits me up, next Saturday, whatever. We're going to this
Hamptons
thing
party
up at Diddy, and it's a white party, so get some white shit. So I'm like, cool, So it was like, I don't know, a day or two before, and he hits me and goes, man, they're making a rule, no security. So you could go, but they didn't want nobody.
Well, that
to
makes
bring
sense
their
now,
security.
doesn't it?
Yeah, 100. That's what I said.
Yeah.
Because 100%. Like, I at least, if something crazy was going down, I'm snatching Tommy and
getting out of there.
Yeah, we're leaving.
Right.
Like, look, if he wants to stay, then that's on him. But it's my job to be like, yo. So you figure they're gonna, that's why. But yeah, so I almost when I saw the shit on TV, and look, I saw a picture. They put a picture up, and literally it was Diddy and Tommy.
Oh my
and,
God.
You know, Tommy had his white hat like this. You know, but I was like, holy fuck! I almost was in that picture. You know what I mean? But
you know, he's the one guy whose reputation just can't get ruined. How do you ruin? How are you, Motley Crue? Yeah,
you can't ruin Tommy Lee.
Right.
He's got to be with a dude.
Yeah,
like he's got to get caught in bed with a dude for us to go like this. Yeah, Tommy, what's up, man?
Right.
You know,
of course he was there.
Right? Yeah.
So here's what happened at the Diddy trial. This is day 8. It was relatively quiet compared to the wild testimony of the past few days. First, Homeland Security agent Gerard Gannon was back on the stand, and he was talking about the evidence that they found: weapons, drug residue, cell phones hidden inside a boot, not to mention lube, baby oil, sex toys, and lingerie. And then the forensic psychologist, Dawn Hughes, came in. She was brought in to specifically address why Cassie stayed with Diddy despite the abuse she insists she was a victim of. So she testified. And then last on the stand was George Kaplan, a former assistant to Diddy, who said he was there under subpoena. So they agreed to give him immunity in exchange for truthful testimony because they were afraid he was going to plead the fifth, I guess. And he said he was tasked with setting up hotel rooms for the freak-offs, and that the job also sometimes included procuring illegal drugs. Kid Cudi was supposed to be there today, but I think they moved that to another day.
Diddy blew another one of his cars up.
Yeah, exactly, man. It's. I mean, say what you want. We can pretend it's not, but Suge Knight and P. Diddy.
Yeah, they were straight gangsters.
They were gangster. I mean, that's what they are. I don't know why. Oh my God, he's a record mogul. No, he's a mafia boss that bought a record label.
You know, when you get the Clive Owens of the world behind you, you get that kind of power.
You're unstoppable.
You're untouchable unless they want you touched.
And
you know what I mean?
Humor me with this though, because somebody said this to me the other day, and it made me think. So this could be a very dark thing that Diddy is doing on his own, right? He's a gangster. He got into this dark stuff. But somebody said to me, you know, he's getting all this videotape to blackmail celebrities. Could he be somebody like Jeffrey Epstein, who is controlled by a much higher
power?
I
think that I believe that 1,000%, and I think that's why the feds went in and got all the videos.
Yeah,
because now they're in control of that stuff. You know what I mean?
You know, there was a there's a very old story in Hollywood that I was told that apparently, and I don't know this to be true, and I could be dead wrong, but there's like 5 or 6 guys that are original money of Hollywood that really. They own all the studios.
That's what they say. And in the music world, it's even worse.
Well,
it's like one guy or two guys own everything.
Yep.
All of it.
Yeah.
And they're in the shadows.
Yeah. Nobody even knows. Like I had a friend break it down for me. I was like, wow, I didn't even know.
Yeah. It's crazy. And look, there's good and evil in the world. And the entertainment business is full of fucking evil.
Hell yeah.
Am I right, John?
I mean, they use you up and spit you out.
Yep. It's crazy.
So I don't know if you guys have ever had a horrible neighbor, but this is a story about the worst neighbor ever. Florida man, of course.
Florida. Jesus.
He's commonly known around his neighborhood as the most annoying neighbor ever. They even call him Junk Man because for 25 years, Alan Davis, no relation, has been racking up code violations for a collection of junk piled high on his property. He's got scrap metal, mounds of it, rusted appliances, junk cars, and even the fuselage of an airplane on his front lawn. The violations have added up to over $5.4 million in fines, which he refused to pay. He argues that he is exercising his First Amendment rights, and he has no plans to stop. Here's his quote. What did he say? He said, before he said this, he put up this 6-foot-tall fiberglass sculpture of human buttocks. He says Davis says the sculpture sends a message to his neighbors and county officials. He says, you all can kiss my butt. I pile it up intentionally to aggravate them. 69-year-old guy.
He's got the ass Sir Mix-a-Lot was standing on his baby's got back.
Dude,
how do you get away with $5.4 million?
What are they going to do?
I don't know.
Like,
put you in jail?
Listen, I have under the firm belief to just when people do shit like you're getting a fine because you have a piece of metal on your yard.
Yeah,
fuck you. Like, seriously, it's my yard.
Apparently, it works. He's got $5 million. What are you going to do? Repo his house?
Yeah.
He's piling up new stuff.
Yeah. What's he gonna? I guess maybe now he can't get a permit to build a deck.
Yeah,
like,
who
cares?
So
Crazy.
flying cars are coming, you guys.
I told you.
But don't worry, you can't afford one. They're like $800,000.
Well, and let me remind everybody that when big screen TVs came out, they were like $5,000.
Sure.
Now you can get one 80 inches for about $400.
I mean, that's
Right?
true.
Yeah.
I think about that every. Remember, they were in big projection.
Oh my God!
You know,
Take
take
3
up
of
half
you
your
to
room
carry
and
it.
move
It was a
Yeah.
piece of furniture, man.
Yeah.
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 So Toyota Corolla version may arrive. They're saying the first mass-produced flying car will go on sale early next year.
Interesting.
But even if you get a good deal on financing, it's a hefty price tag. This is a company called a company in Slovakia, called Klein Vision, that says its air car will cost a very reasonable $800,000, up to $1 million if you add upgrades. And
What does it run on?
well, yeah, that's a good question. Even if you can't afford it, you might not want one. It's technically a flying car. It looks like, I saw a picture. It looks like an airplane. I mean, it's
Of course,
you're
yeah.
buying an airplane,
Right.
essentially. It's not even like a drone kind of thing. It's
You're like
literally
a
car
Cessna.
with wings.
Yeah.
Basically like a sports car with retractable wings and a propeller in back, so you can't lift off in traffic like you'd want to do, right?
Right.
I mean, get out of the runway. You need a runway to do it, and you need a pilot's license, of course, too, which makes sense.
Yeah, they're calling it a flying car.
Well,
It's
an
a little
airplane.
plane.
It's a plane.
Yeah, but the flying cars, mark my words, we'll see them in our lifetime. I don't know if any of us will ever drive one.
Hell no.
I wouldn't do it. Would you?
You don't ever want the first version.
Right.
of
Anything.
Well,
Yeah.
not just that. I mean, I don't trust people driving on the ground.
Yeah.
I'm going to
Right.
trust them
It's
driving
true.
in the
Well,
air now.
The theory is that there's going to be less of it. You have the whole sky to fucking not hit something.
Yeah,
You know, or
There-
nobody's
there's
going
a
to
lot of
cut you
stuff
There's
off.
got to
there,
be a
man.
way. Like planes have air traffic controllers. What
Yeah.
are these cars going to have?
Well,
I think they're
these
gonna be
go up to
balloon wings.
18,000 feet, so it's under where the airplanes, I guess, would be.
Right.
So I guess it
But
can't
not
go.
helicopters, not all that other
Yeah,
shit.
yeah, right. Other
You know,
little
somebody's
planes.
going to
I
get
don't know how
drunk and
that
just
works.
fly into something.
So,
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
no question. Yeah.
All right, what else we got, Matt?
We got one more story about
Yep.
a guy who has survived on bread, cereal, and candy alone. And you thought you knew a picky
I've been
eater
doing
here.
it for 40 years.
Thomas Sheridan, a 35-year-old man from the UK, has lived his entire life without ever eating fruits, vegetables, meat, or eggs. Diagnosed with avoidant restrictive food intake disorder, the mere thought of these foods makes him feel sick.
Wait,
Yeah.
say that disease again?
It is called avoidant restrictive
A-R-F-I-D.
food intake disorder. You got an acronym?
ARFID? Did I do that right?
ARFID. Yeah,
ARFID.
yeah. All right, we'll go with that.
Yeah.
ARFID.
What a bullshit disease that is. Eat a goddamn ham sandwich, you freak.
It actually means diabetes.
Yeah, exactly what it means. It's the Latin word for fat fuck.
Right.
That's what that is. Candy, bread, and what?
Candy, bread, cereal, and candy.
Yeah, bread, cereal, and candy. You're an ARFID.
It says his food aversion started at 18 months old, and despite various attempts by his parents and doctors to expand his diet, nothing worked. At school, he was allowed to go home for lunch to eat toast, as he couldn't handle school meals. And as an adult, his condition has made it difficult to maintain employment.
No, he doesn't have ARFID. He has BITCH. He's just a bitch. I don't want to eat that.
Yeah, he couldn't maintain employment. During a 10-day work period, he lost 21 pounds, and he's trying. I don't know why he's trying to rate
I
$8
can't
grand.
have my job.
He's trying to raise
lost
$8,000
21
for hypnotherapy, hoping it might be a way for him to enjoy a
Matt,
more varied
how
diet.
much would you charge for hypnotherapy?
That's outrageous.
I was gonna say, you'll do it for
I think
$800.
it's,
Yeah.
You know what? His parents should have beat his ass.
Exactly, John.
Right.
And he'd be fine.
We're gonna
Yeah.
send him over to the Rallo household.
Right, yeah. Let John be his
Let me
bodyguard.
tell my dad that. Yeah,
Could you imagine telling your
Get
father
the hell out of here.
bread, cereal, and candy is all I'm eating?
Right.
You'd have ate a brick before he'd have gotten
Yeah, right.
something else. Tell
You
my
weren't
dad
even
was-
allowed up till it was all gone.
Now, let me ask you this. Was your dad that strict, like at dinner? Was it like family time? And
I
you
mean,
were-
honestly, yeah, you know,
Manners
I think
at the
back
table.
back in those days,
me too.
everybody ate dinner with your family.
Yeah.
And my grandparents, like me and my brothers, we went to Fatima, you know.
Right, yeah, sure.
And so my grandmother lived on Hornell Street, right across the street.
Yeah.
So literally we would get dropped off, go over there, come back after, go play up at the rec or whatever.
Yeah.
Might be playing baseball, unless
Sure.
it's football season, and we were down in Dundalk. But you know, that was that was a good old days.
Yeah, I loved it.
When my mom and dad would come home, like, you know, my grandmother would have dinner down there, and everybody's eating dinner.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Are you all
like,
Italian?
Yeah.
You're 100% Italian?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My dad's people are from Sicily.
Yeah.
You know, it's Rallo, and my grandmother was Capelloni.
Okay.
And then my mom was from Italy.
I think that was my grandmother's maiden name. I got to check with my mom, but I'm pretty sure that she was her mom. I think her mom was the first one to come over from Italy.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's pretty
so
well.
my aunt and my grandmother and all, they were Capelloni.
Oh, I'm sorry, it was Compelli.
Yeah.
And then my mother was Manfreda, was her maiden name, but they're from Bari, Italy, which is like down by the heel.
You know about Bari though? Bari's a tough place.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
You know, but it's beautiful there. It's right on the beach, and you know, it's a port town. So you know,
interesting place, Bari, man.
Yeah, they say, like, I mean, you know, look, if you anywhere southern Italy into Sicily,
it's where my whole family's from.
Sketchy,
yeah,
but it's beautiful there. You know,
incredible. Yeah. All right, that's the facts.
That is the facts, Matt.
John Rallo, man, how do people find? Is there a Shogun Fights website?
Yeah, we have shogunfights.com, and for ground control, we have I think Ground Control USA has like all the schools on it, but my particular one is groundcontrolbaltimore.com.
Do you still find the time to teach, John?
Oh yeah, I teach 3 days a week. I teach I teach day classes. I enjoy like it's more, it seems like more beginners, and it's not as big a classes, so I can like more personal attention with the guys.
I'm 56. I was a good athlete young. I really was. I'm not crazy strong.
Soccer player.
Yeah, exactly. I believe you used to call us fags back in the day.
Soccer fags. You know, that's what we used to do.
But anyway, a guy my age, is it good?
Tim Whitman, I still call that.
Well, you will. I wouldn't call Tim Whitman.
Timmy is a little crazy.
Timmy, I would not mess with in 100 years. But like for a guy my age, 56,
you could do it.
Would it get me in shape?
100%.
Yeah, and it's not going to hurt me.
And we have multiple things. So, like, if you were doing jiu-jitsu, if you're older, I'm recommending to do the gi.
Okay,
it's a slower paced game.
I'm in,
and the gi eliminates like sweat and athletic ability from the equation.
Sure,
so, like you have, it's more technical. It's a little slower game. A lot of it's transferable with or without. But the cool thing with the gi is like you can learn how to choke people with like his jacket. You can use that kind of stuff. I'm down. Like that's why when I was like bodyguard, I refuse. I would not work for people that wanted you to wear suits,
right?
Unless it was like a function,
an Academy Awards or something. What I mean? Yeah, of course.
Just because
you don't want to be in a nightclub in a
something
suit.
restrictive, and that somebody can use as a weapon against me. Like, it's foolish.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I think always that there's boxing and there's Muay Thai.
Now I want to come. I'd love to learn, just the basics.
Yeah.
And get
like I'm really contemplating having like a 40 and over class because Matt Serra has it at his school.
Yeah,
and he says it's like growing, and I'm like, man, that would be brilliant. But I have in my day class, dude, I got a guy. So he's 60 something.
Well, that's what I want to say to you. Like, I would love to do it because that came available late in life for me. MMA, you got in it.
Same thing. I mean, I started when I was 29.
But I don't want to go wrestle with a kid that's 23. That's
going to the older women's class.
I'm down. Yeah.
Jamie teaches 2 of the women's classes.
Yeah.
So.
But no, like if you did like an over 40 thing, I would champion that. I would love to learn, but I don't want to do it against guys that are, by the way, my favorite joke. Right, is I used to wrestle in high school. I wasn't very good though. I used to give up after I had an orgasm. Right?
The other guy gave up after
he didn't have to. Yeah. All right, John Rallo, thank you, man. Shogun Fights, Ground Control Baltimore. And listen, if you hear about Shogun Fights coming to Maryland Live, please do yourself a favor.
November 15th is the
That's
next
my birthday.
Is it really? No
I'll
shit.
be there, dude.
All right.
I'll go in the casino afterwards, lose my $14 and get the hell out of there. John, thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you, John. Appreciate
Always
it,
a pleasure.
Always a pleasure, guys.
We'll see you guys. No, we're off tomorrow and Monday. We will be back Tuesday.
Yeah, let's plug who we got
real quick. Tuesday, we got some cool stuff coming up next week.
I'm looking at the book right now.
Yeah, take your time, Matt. We're live.
Tuesday, Tuesday, we'll have BJ Kerwin from Candlebox
Nice.
in with us.
In studio, right?
In studio with us.
Good band.
Yeah.
He's going on tour with the Who
Saw
soon.
them
we
at
just found
Michael's
out.
8th Avenue.
You remember that?
Yeah. And then we got Evan, who is the Magnet Fisherman, coming in on Wednesday, and Amber Poole, the psychic, on
Nice.
Wednesday.
All right,
Yeah.
everybody, thank you. We will see you next week. Until then, thank you for watching. Please subscribe to YouTube. The is @ Mickey Talks Pod, @ Mickey Talks Pod. Thanks, everybody. See you next week.